everyone, and welcome once again to another exciting commentary podcast. I am Captain Logan.
And I am Dan.
Today, Dan and I are going to watch and chat about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, this is my least favorite of all the Star Wars movies. And we've been getting a lot of requests for it lately, now that the Star Wars fervor is kind of hitting new heights. I mean, I guess this dates the commentary, but we're about, like a month away from the movie now?
Yeah, about a month away from Force Awakens, and we still have this and Revenge of the Sith to do. We did Phantom of the Menace. We did Phantom Menace several months ago, and folks have been asking for this ever since, and hoping that we would get these out before the new movie. So we are doing that, and you're welcome. And we're gonna do our best to enjoy it.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
Dan, when was the last time you saw this?
This is the Star Wars movie I've seen the least out of all of them, because even when I was a kid, I found most of it to be boring. I did always like the stuff with the Jedi fighting in the arena at the end, and Yoda fighting Dooku. That was always just cool action stuff to see. But I don't know, most of this movie is just kind of boring for me. Not a lot happens. So I've watched The Phantom Menace many times. I've watched Revenge of the Sith many times. But of the prequels, I can't remember the last time I saw this, honestly.
Yeah, and I didn't watch this or Revenge of the Sith very much after they came out, just because, again, I didn't like them. And I feel like it's important for us to lead with these that yes, we are in the prequels just aren't that great camp. So if you love them and you don't want to hear people complain about the prequels at all for 2.5 hours, feel free to not listen to this. That's totally cool. But this is a thing that I said this with the Phantom Menace commentary, but this is a thing that for the longest time we just weren't gonna do.
Yeah,
because what else is there to say about these? Our opinion is kind of the popular opinion. But folks requested it. They asked us for the longest time if we'd do it. We're like, sure, we'll do it. Just understand. We ain't gonna say a whole lot you haven't heard before. We're probably not gonna change hearts and minds.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's potentially some cool ideas here, which we'll get into. But executions. Sure. The execution leaves much to be desired. Let's just put it that way.
But Dan, I love talking Star Wars with you. You have almost single-handedly turned me into a Star Wars fan.
I have converted you. Yes.
Well, I converted you into a TOS fan. So
that's true, and I have converted you into a kind of a Thor fan. So you're gonna have to convert me into something else next.
Oh yeah, no, it sounds like I owe you one. Yeah. I'll think about that.
Okay.
I'll come up with something. Well, the Star Trek series are long enough that maybe each one of them separately counts.
That's
so
true. Yeah. We'll have to do a discussion like we did a long time ago about Next Generation or something like that.
I'll throw you 10 or 15 really good TNGs, yeah. But anyway, enough about that. We're talking Star Wars. But yes, I always love talking about Star Wars with you. And so this will be fun, just at least on that level. But anyway, if you want to listen to the commentary with us, go ahead and grab your DVD, your Blu-rays, however you want to watch it. I don't think there are multiple cuts of this, but if there are, we're doing the theatrical cut.
Yeah, not that I'm aware. I just have the standard DVD from back in the day when it came out, so.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, so get it past the menus, get it to timestamp 0. If you would rather not listen to or listen to us, just watch the movie, then you don't have to continue playing. if you'd rather just listen to us like a podcast while you're out going grocery shopping or roof jumping on your nightly patrol, feel free to do that, and we will do our level best to provide some context as we are discussing the film. Are you ready?
I think so.
All right, here it goes. Everybody, please press play right now.
The 20th Century Fox logo.
Begun. The commentary has.
It's going to be very strange to not see a 20th Century Fox logo in front of Force Awakens. I might have said that.
I want to say you said that the last 2 or 3 of these you've done.
Yeah, I did. I don't know. I just think it's very strange. We do know there's going to be no Disney logo before the new movie. It's just going to be Lucasfilm apparently. So,
I mean, they're just doing everything they can to try to make it authentic and like the Star Wars you remembered. And as long as that's not all it is, it'll be wonderful.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just saying, as long as it's not just nostalgia the movie, and a lot of people are a little bit worried about that right now, and it's somewhat of a fair concern given the director they have, because that's what he did with Star Trek, but it was also as much of a nostalgia for the franchise he's now working on.
That's
that
true. I feel like this is such a passion project for Abrams that I can't see it being just, oh, let's bring Darth Vader back and make him look different like they did with Khan in the second Star Trek movie or something like that, you know?
Well, anyway, so I know we have 2 hours and 20 minutes to kill, Dan, but we probably shouldn't spend the entire time talking about a movie that will probably be out by the time some people listen to this. So,
That's fair.
When this first came out, I think there was a whole lot of hope that, even though a lot of folks weren't sure about Phantom Menace, and I think like the atmosphere and like how people felt about Phantom Menace was really murky. Like we lived in kind of a different age. It wasn't the everybody's a critic age so much like it is now. So I don't think people were quite as critical even about it. You didn't have that so much of that online presence yet.
Right.
But I think also folks just still could not get their minds around it. Like there was a lot of just, I feel like I'm supposed to like this, but I don't understand what it is. And I think a lot of people were just sort of in denial about it. And some people just legitimately liked it, you know. But then I think, this, it's like, okay, we've got an actual, like, adult Anakin Skywalker. Maybe it's gonna actually feel more like Star Wars. So I think there was still a lot of hope for this.
No, definitely, because the Phantom Menace didn't do anything wrong with any of the major characters from the original movies that couldn't be fixed by this movie. I mean, Obi-Wan was a major character in Phantom Menace, but he didn't really get anything to do. It wasn't like they ruined his character or anything. And Obi-Wan's character is one of the best things about the prequels, at least the performance. I don't think the character gets all that much to do, but I'm
very excited about the notion that he's liable to come back.
I really hope that happens. So the ship's landing.
There's an air of mystery with at least the there's fog, Dan, and the score is mysterious, and there's something going on. Oh wait, hold on, because here pretty soon there's going to be an explosion, Dan.
Queen Amidala's guard there with the eye patch looks like Mr. Goodplot.
Oh yeah, he does.
I just noticed
That's hilarious.
That. For those of you who don't know, he's a contestant on Who Reviews the Reviewers. Great reality show on Geekvolution.
Actually, thanks for that plug, Dan. I actually also think that guy sounds a little bit like Goodfly. He's got a little bit of that news what is his accent? It's not a New Zealand accent. What is it?
I'm not sure.
Forget. I'm sure he'll tell me if he listens to this.
Natalie Portman, great actress. Just not in this movie.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it. Just watching these, I don't think.
I don't know if I talked about this. I can't remember. We did Phantom Menace so long ago. For a lot of time, after these movies, after she made them, for a long time, she had trouble getting parts because people didn't think she could act based on her performance in these.
That's rough, because I don't feel like typecasting is the problem it used to be, and so that isn't like, oh, everybody knows you as this popular character, Amidala, who they love, and they can only see you in that. No, it's, we don't think you can act.
Yeah.
That's rough.
There's Ki-Adi-Mundi, guy with the big head next to Mace Windu. Got to play as him in Star Wars Battlefront 2 on some maps. That was a good time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first time we've got a all CG Yoda, if memory serves.
That's true. He was a puppet in Phantom Menace. They did go back in the remade Blu-ray ones and replace the puppet Yoda in Phantom Menace with the CG one.
Oh, really?
Yes, they did.
Of course they did, because they just want to change things because there's more things they could change, Dan. Yeah. There's more things that they could make in just a computer.
I mean, I don't think CG Yoda looks awful. I think Puppet Yoda in Empire and Jedi look a little bit better, but that's just my preference for practical effects, I guess.
Yep.
Samuel L. Jackson is one of my favorite actors. I didn't realize he was my favorite actor until one of my favorite actors until seeing him in other things. But
it wasn't this movie that made me
no.
think that.
But I always liked Mace Windu because my favorite color is purple, and he was the first Jedi to have a purple lightsaber. So I was like, that guy's awesome. The cool thing about Mace Windu, I don't know if I've mentioned this in any of the other commentaries before. Mace Windu actually has a really cool backstory in the expanded universe where he's one of the few Jedi that's able to channel the emotions of the dark side, like anger and rage and stuff. But he created his own lightsaber fighting style called Vapad. It's really dangerous to use, but you channel the dark side emotions into the light in a specific way. So he's able to tap into that kind of stuff, but use it for good. And he kind of walks that line. Every other person that's trying to use his lightsaber style has fallen to the dark side. Like he's taught it to his apprentices and things like that, and they've all fallen. Interesting guy. I wish that kind of stuff was in the movie, but
I just don't understand why anybody believes that Palpatine is anything but an evil dictator guy that's trying to take over and start an empire. I don't know how that little speech he gives there, where he's like, if anything were to happen to you, it's like that doesn't look even remotely genuine. Like it's really obvious that like. The reason that Palpatine is the only person that ever looks like he's having any fun in these movies, Dan, is because like this is the only way I can read these and it really work in any kind of way. It's like he's the one self-aware character that knows how dull and messed up and weird everybody else in these is. And so he just goes around going, "Oh, cool. There's a bunch of puppets that don't act like real people. I'll just pull their string." It's so easy.
Have you seen the recent fan theory online that Jar Jar Binks is secretly a Sith Lord that's going to return in The Force Awakens? It's really funny.
I'm not going to say that couldn't work. Because it's hard to believe that anybody is that bumbling.
That's true. Maybe he is Darth Plagueis. Maybe that's why they took that novel out of canon.
That would be the greatest reveal ever. And then what would be great is if we found out retroactively that was actually a stipulation in the contract when Lucasfilm was sold to Disney.
Oh my god.
Was that George Lucas was like, I've got this great idea. It's the one thing I'm going to insist that you use.
Oh, fan.
I'm still so mad about the backlash with Jar Jar because he's the funniest character we've ever had. When I was a kid, I kind of thought Jar Jar was funny.
I had Jar Jar action figures, but I had Jar Jar. I mean, I had every character as an action figure pretty much. I had Bib Fortuna and guys like that. Who wants an action figure of Bib Fortuna? Dan Torrey does.
Well, I think, and I say when I was a kid, I was like, what, 12 or 13 when that movie came out?
Right.
No, I was older than that. But I don't know, man. I think I sort of kind of like Jar Jar Binks because I thought I could do a Jar Jar Binks impression. Like, I liked characters that I could do impressions of.
See, the thing that I like about the relationship between these two in the Clone Wars animated series, the old one and the new one to some degree, I think they do it well enough, the new one too. They really come off like friends, and it makes the fall of Anakin seem kind of tragic when you take it out of the context of how it's executed in Revenge of the Sith. Just introducing him here as this whiny guy, it's frustrating.
And there's that weird moment where Jar Jar just looks at the camera and smiles at you for like 3 whole seconds. Like, look at me, I'm in this movie. I know you hate me, but here I am.
I think
a long time.
I think maybe the thing that Lucas was trying to go for with Anakin was like, Luke is kind of a whiny guy that doesn't have direction when we first meet him, and Anakin's supposed to parallel that, but he doesn't get over that. He just kind of toils down into darkness and misery.
But the problem is they have entirely different upbringings,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
why would he be like that? Basically, what you're saying is all teenagers are the same.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that his assessment of what he was trying to do with the characters, but um, I think maybe that was the idea. But it doesn't make him sympathetic either, because the reason
No.
we're kind of okay with Luke being a little whiny in A New Hope is because he becomes a better person by the end of the third one. Darth Vader just kind of becomes evil.
Well, and you can understand why Luke Skywalker would not have much direction because he's got parents that I mean, like his parents are gone. His surrogate parents don't really pay a lot of attention to him. He's kind of just doing chores around the house and dreaming and wishing for something more. So like that's inherently kind of sympathetic. But you understand why like that's a thing that you can pretty easily blame on the parents. And then when he goes off and gets some guidance, then
Yeah, exactly.
you start to see that there's potential there.
Yeah, and then
And he's still instantly more likable than Anakin is. I mean, like that movie's whiny makes this look like he's just losing his mind in every scene.
yeah, I mean the worst we get from Luke is like, I wanted to go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. Like that's pretty much all the whining we get.
Nobody told Hayden Christensen that Anakin Skywalker hasn't turned to the dark side yet.
That's very true.
Like it's just nobody told that. He is so angsty and conflicted, and I just don't know why. And the deal is, I could look back at his backstory and I could tell you why, and yet somehow or rather it's not. I don't believe it. Like I can't link those two things up. Isn't that strange? But it's like okay, you used to be a slave. Your mother is still a slave. You've put yourself in this kind of cult that you don't feel like you really belong in. And I mean, but none of that stuff. There's a disconnect. None of that stuff really connects up. And if in episode one, the thing is, he needed to have not seemed like the happiest kid imaginable in episode one.
He wanted to be a Jedi and was really happy about it, at least before
Well,
we
I'm not
found
saying
out.
that's a problem. I'm saying when we first met him, he needed to be living an awful life, and we're told he is, but he seems fine.
Right, yeah.
And so
Makes
like his being kind of naive and wanting to go and like that's where you could compare him a little bit more to Luke Skywalker. Is like I want to go out and have adventures
yeah.
and and like I want to be a hero. I want to save my mom. I mean like that could be compelling. I mean
Okay.
I could. I still think starting with a 9-year-old Anakin is really weird, but I can see that.
Right.
And what ultimately ends up happening is as you say, he really wants to go off and be a Jedi, and once he is one, now that he's here, he's just really entitled, and it kind of just watches like I hate to say it this way, somebody who's out of touch their view of what teenagers are.
I think it would have been interesting to do with Anakin, maybe paralleling him with Luke Skywalker in this way. We do know, as we're told in the movies, that to be a Jedi, Anakin's a rare exception in the prequel Jedi Order that we see here, where most Jedi are taken from their parents at birth if they're Force sensitive and trained to be Jedi. What if Anakin was like those people and he didn't know his parents, and the movies were kind of about him figuring out his past, kind of like how Luke was, and that once he figures it out, that kind of provides the angst in him or something. I don't know.
Well, when you start from a really uninspired place like that, it's really hard to watch a thing like this and not just immediately start thinking of better ideas.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you don't want to rewrite the thing. I think that you can take what is here and still make it a lot more compelling
Oh yeah,
and
for
make
sure.
these characters more believable. But you're right. Your mind just immediately goes to other play, and the fact that we have retroactively and even before we got away from the old expanded universe, we've had to finagle things to try to salvage these in a lot of ways. I think uh, just tells you that a lot of people that have come into this material and worked on it since then have felt the same way.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, even the stuff that takes place in between the prequels or around them, it's in that era, right? They're always going with a characterization of Anakin, who's supposed to be the main character of this trilogy, that's completely different than he is in the movies. I mean, you fundamentally change who the main character is in order to make it work. Everyone has done that.
what happens is you tend to, and I'm speaking generally because once again I want to be careful. There are people that don't mind this as much as we do, but the thing is, I think there's a certain adjustment that I will sometimes make with a thing like this, where I get used to really lackluster and like just not good storytelling, and then somebody else comes in and does the exact same characters, and suddenly I'm like shocked back into my standards. It's sort of like, and the example I'm about to throw out, Dan, is not nearly as bad, I think, as this, but it's sort of like when anybody comes in and does a fill-in issue for Dan Slott.
Yeah.
On Spider-Man, where you just get used to that, and then you read that and you're like, oh, this is all of a sudden I remember how much dimension and making sense this character used to have.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be great; it just has to be adequate,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
suddenly the character makes more sense again.
And I mean, when we get to the clone trooper stuff, I think there's some cool ideas, especially with some of the expanded universe that was in canon at the time. I don't know if it's still in canon, but I think it's worth talking about because it makes some of the stuff from the past and the Empire, like the Republic slowly turning into the Empire here with the who they choose to be the clones, really interesting. Them kind of becoming what they hate. It's cool.
Well, and again, I don't want to talk too much about that. Wow, we did not chroma key that right at all. Whoa, like the color correction was completely off in that shot. Where they looked faded compared to the background behind them.
Yeah.
It was like it was like if you saw it was like looking at a green screen from 50 years ago. Like, wow. Once again, I'm gonna get myself into trouble when I say this, but this is just how I feel about it. The last time I watched this a couple weeks ago, and knowing we were gonna do this, and I got to be honest with you, I fell asleep. I really did. I didn't mean to. I was trying to watch it again, and I just I kind of fell asleep. But anyway,
no, as a kid, I've fallen asleep during this movie many times. So
I remember thinking, and it's not entirely the movie's fault. I was busy that day. I was tired. But anyway, I was watching this and I was thinking, there's a lot of things about this that really kind of feel fan filmish to me.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of it just is the fact that once again it's almost all shot on a green screen,
right.
And like you see a lot of fan films that go that way just out of necessity because they can't build sets, and it immediately gives it this not just less authentic quality, but this like not big screen cinematic quality.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for the time it was great special effects or whatever, but I think one of the things that made the original Star Wars so cool was that it broke boundaries with special effects and stuff. And maybe Lucas was trying to do the same things with these. He felt like he had to, revolutionize special effects again. I mean, ILM is his company, so maybe he was thinking like, oh, I need to, push into new boundaries, and maybe it's become a time where we don't need physical sets anymore, and special effects are that good. I don't know what his train of thought was, but.
Well, I'll tell you this, Dan. I went to the theater and saw this, and I was blown away by how not real it looked. So when you say maybe it was okay for the time, oh boy, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. The other things I remember from around this time were like the first Spider-Man movie, and like looking back at that, there's some shoddy CGI that I can think of, but it didn't use as much of it, so I didn't notice it as much, right?
Yeah, and it mostly holds up, but some of the I would argue that some of the shoddy CGI I see in that I see in stuff now.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not just I mean, it's somewhat dated. I have a hard time not looking at this, and obviously it's a different kind of stylized Dan, but I have a hard time not looking at these and not comparing it to Sin City that came out just just shortly after this.
Mm-hmm.
And we have now made movies that are entirely on green screen, and with things that are appropriate to do that way.
Well, I didn't realize that movie was entirely CG. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look a lot better than this.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Again, that's a different kind of thing, but it manages to that movie manages to create some depth because it's trying to look drawn,
Right,
and
exactly.
this just more needed to be done to look like the actors are in the same place as everything else is. I mean, like what we're looking at right now is a thing that that a lot of it would be CG. You know, you're in ships and you're flying around and stuff, and so you know, it's a little bit easier to swallow. But especially when you have just people standing around talking.
Oh yeah. When Jar Jar was standing around with them earlier, it was very apparent that he wasn't real.
Like, look, there's at least part of a room here.
That's true, yeah. Zam Wessel, this character, the bounty hunter that we're chasing, she's at
I
action
can't believe you
figures.
know
I've
who that
seen her
is.
at Star Wars weekends.
Yeah.
Don't know why they take the time to make a costume of her, but you know, bounty hunter that gets killed at the beginning of Attack of the Clones. Great character.
I'm sure she got a novel or a short story somewhere.
Yeah, that's possible. I haven't read it because I was not. Well, maybe she's interesting. She's kind of a blank slate, so maybe in the expanded universe they did something cool there. I don't know. They tend to do that with
So,
Star Wars characters. If you have a cool look, they'll write books and short stories about you that make you cooler than you were in the movies.
oh yeah, I mean, Aura Singh is like a thing.
Oh yeah, and the same.
And then in the Clone Wars, they I think actually did stuff with her.
Yeah, I
But
think they did too. Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool that we're going to this like seedy dive, and we see this section of the city that starts to that reminds you of what a lot of the Empire looks like later.
Yeah, it's kind of the underbelly of Republic society. Coruscant is a planet that's entirely a city. So the cool
Yeah.
thing about Coruscant is the lower down you go, that's like the lower class you are, and that's the slums and things like that. So that's kind of where they are at the moment. Um,
Now I gotta ask you this, Dan.
sure.
Who came up with Coruscant?
Timothy Zahn in
I thought so. I was gonna ask you if that's where it first happened because I just started reading the Thrawn trilogy and I was blown away when I read about Coruscant because I was like, oh, because that is the thing that started the expanded universe proper, and I'm like, oh, okay, so he's already got Coruscant being the main planet of the Old Republic and where the Empire operated out of. I was like, I can't believe that was consistent.
Yeah, it's really cool. Lucas did pull some stuff from the expanded universe for the prequels, which is pretty cool. Uh,
You got to give him credit for doing that
oh yeah,
because
definitely.
he wrote these single handedly, and I've always thought he needed help, and it was clear. It's clear when you look at behind the scenes stuff that he struggled really hard to decide what he even wanted to do with these. I just feel like he didn't really have a vision, and
Oh, yeah.
so to hear that he even looked at expanded universe is really fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think at the beginning he was heavily involved, at least in looking at them and approving scripts and things. You would imagine at some point they're just, since the Thrawn trilogy was so successful, they just started making books about everything, and they were putting so many of them out at a time. I can't imagine that he read all the ones that were released. He might have gotten notes about them, but I apparently there's a position at Lucasfilm called Holocron Keeper, I think it's called, and they're just the
Oh,
official
cool.
historians of Star Wars, and they keep everything straight.
Well, it sounds like he might not have even specifically gone back and read things for this and maybe just had like an encyclopedia.
Yeah,
You know,
possibly.
he might have just had a library of like I want to try to keep it as canonical with everything as I can.
Right.
But then of course there are weird, silly discrepancies even just between this and in the original trilogy.
That's true. Yeah.
There's just strange things. So I'm just considering that he seemed to, when he made these, kind of have the attitude of it's mine. I can do whatever I want with it. Creative license. It's surprising to me that he used anything from anybody else.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Um,
So you really got to give him that.
oh yeah, definitely.
It's so weird to. I know we've talked about this a lot, but it's so weird to look at Samuel L. Jackson and see him as the dullest thing in the room.
Yeah.
like he more than anybody else for some reason. When I see him in a scene in this, feels like he's sucking the life out of the room.
I agree, because he's usually the most charismatic actor in any.
And I don't know if that's because he's an actor I'm familiar with, but I felt like that. I mean, when these came out, I wasn't super familiar with Samuel L. Jackson, and like because I was young enough, I hadn't seen Pulp Fiction or anything, and uh, he just always seemed like he was just bored and didn't want to be there. But then it looks like everybody's almost told to be that way.
Yeah.
It's like stoic means nothing's going on behind the eyes. And no, it's just like nobody's got any energy in these.
No, definitely not. I
Especially in the scenes where people are simply walking around talking.
Oh yeah. Like you said, I think
They're all
Ian
cool.
McDermott here, the guy who plays the Emperor Palpatine, he is having a great time hamming this performance up, especially because I've seen behind the scenes things with him, and he just was ecstatic that they'd asked him to come back to play this, and he had a great time playing it. He loves doing this stuff. The only thing he didn't like doing was the lightsaber battle in Revenge of the Sith, because he's such an old guy, and it was tough physically on him. But
did he say anything about having to put that makeup on?
no, he said it took a long time to put on, but he
didn't mind it.
He could, he kind of signed up for it expecting that, especially since he had to wear it in Return of the Jedi. But he had more screen time, so he had to go into the makeup chair more times. But
yeah. Look at this, Stan. Like it just doesn't feel like we're in the room we're standing in, and when you, I mean, it doesn't even. It looks like a painting. It looks like
I was going to say it looks like a
painting.
Yeah.
But not even a matte painting. It looks like a painting in somebody's house, and it's just that big, and we're just standing in front of it. Like it doesn't even look like it's intended to be the background. I don't know. And the thing is, like, people tend to when they complain about that lump all three of these together. I don't think Phantom Menace has that nearly as badly as the other two.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why that is, but I feel like it got lazier somehow.
Maybe more of a reliance on CG as the technology improved and they got a little too ambitious or something.
So a popular question is how coming back to Amidala's home planet is hiding.
Yeah, that doesn't really make any sense, does it? One of the cool things about the costuming in this movie is I saw an interview with Mark Hamill. People have been reposting this online. This interview that he did recently because of Force Awakens, and it's a roundtable interview with him having dinner with J.J. Abrams, Stan Lee, Kevin Smith, and Jason Lee, I think, the guy who played the villain in Incredibles. You know who I'm talking about? The guy who did
Yeah.
So they're all sitting around, and Mark Hamill says that for Return of the Jedi, he wanted to have a samurai braid. George Lucas wouldn't let him do it. And then he was like really upset when he saw Anakin Skywalker with a braid.
Oh, man.
Because he was like, oh, come on, George, you took my idea and you won't even let me do it.
It's not fair!
Yeah. and I suppose Obi-Wan had it in The Phantom Menace, too. They made it a Jedi Padawan thing. But I always thought that was kind of interesting, that he took Mark Hamill's suggestion later. And Mark Hamill also talks about the in that interview the sword fights in the prequels, and he said that if you notice in the original trilogy, nobody ever wields their lightsaber with one hand because George Lucas said they're supposed to be heavy, like Excalibur, like two-handed broadswords.
Oh, okay.
And Mark Hamill was like, "Come on, George, like I want to just wield it with one hand." And then you watch the prequels, and everyone's flipping around, people are wielding one lightsaber in each hand in this movie. And he said he had a conversation with Harrison Ford about it, and he was like, if Harrison ever wanted to do something, he would say, "Listen, kid, just do it and hope he doesn't notice, and they'll put it in the movie."
That's hilarious. Hope he doesn't notice.
Yeah.
I like your Harrison Ford impression. That's good, Dan.
It's terrible, but the one Mark Hamill did was much better, and it was fun seeing Mark Hamill do a Harrison Ford impression.
Boy, I just can't believe that anybody else would be willing to be her decoy after that explosion.
Yeah, I know, right?
Um, I felt like this when I first saw it. It just absolutely astounded me how incredibly cliche Anakin's entire performance and writing is. Just everything about. I couldn't even believe that I was watching a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it's very strange.
There's just I don't understand why I'm supposed to care about or sympathize with this guy at all. I feel like he's trying to play it tragic. I think what he's trying to do, honestly, especially again when you look at behind the scenes stuff, I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to get into George Lucas's head and figure out what in the world he wants, and he's not. He just doesn't get it, or that's what George Lucas wants.
Yeah, I
One
mean,
of those two.
I've seen behind the scenes interviews with George Lucas talking about why he cast
He
him.
just looks so uncomfortable in every scene to me, and I don't feel like it's because he's playing an uncomfortable character. I feel like he looks uncomfortable.
Yeah. George Lucas said that he cast Hayden Christensen because he saw like a darkness lurking behind his eyes, and when he gave his audition, that's kind of the vibe that he got from him, like a dude that has, that he's a good person, but there's a darkness in his soul. And I can kind of see what he's talking about, but I don't know, the performance isn't up to snuff.
There's nothing. Well, but the problem is he's also not working with layered material.
Yeah, exactly. I always kind of liked the fact that Coruscant diners, at least this one, looks like a diner from the 1950s in the United States.
I, it's just so silly. I mean, one of the things that's really interesting, that's really cool about Star Wars is that usually things don't look recognizable. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of stuff in Star Wars that looks completely derived from a 20th century thing, right?
Maybe it's a callback to American Graffiti. Who knows? One of George
I
Lucas's
think
movies
I think
before.
actually I've heard that before,
Oh,
but I
really?
don't know if that's true. Yeah, yeah, but I don't know. I actually resisted that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I like American Graffiti a lot. It's a pretty good movie, but I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't remember if they spend there's times where they're like outside diners, but I don't remember if there's a specific look for one of them that they're in. Anyway,
But yeah, but I just the original trilogy didn't have really anything like that,
no, no.
right? I mean, like that's what's so neat about that universe is that it has a look all its own.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, like there's recognizable things about certain places, you know, when you get into the cantina and stuff like that, but it's still not like anything exactly you've ever seen before. And this is just a diner. It's so weird
Yeah,
that they went with that.
yeah, that's
Like it looks like they're eating at a Winstead's.
yeah, it does.
Like they're just at a galactic Winstead's.
That's why I thought it was kind of weird in one of the more recent EU novels that came out for the new canon. There was one about Luke, and there's things in it like chocolate and tea, and I was like, that's weird. Like I don't think Star Wars should have those things in it.
Yeah. And then here we have what looks like just a library.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that the Jedi have a library of knowledge, and
Yeah.
the
No, I did.
those glowing things are presumably holocrons, but they're on shelves like books for some reason. I don't know why. Um,
Well, and I mean, I'm not complaining that we have a somewhat modern looking city here, because it's again the idea of like a whole city planet is cool. And in the original trilogy, we mostly went to really barren kinds of places,
right, yeah, there was no real urban locations.
which was I think done on purpose to give you the sense of the bleakness of the galaxy under the thumb of the Empire, and when you get into these, you wish that you were feeling like this increasing weight of we're moving away from the Republic to the Empire, and you don't really get that.
Yeah, it's out of necessity too, because like the only places the rebels can be are kind of deserted areas where the Empire wouldn't find them, right?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying the entire galaxy looks like that, but I'm just saying
Right. Yeah.
it makes sense that that's why we go to those
Oh yeah.
places. Yeah.
It it always seemed strange to me. I know that Palpatine is kind of manipulating him and sending him on this mission here. But the beginning crawl of the movie says that there aren't a lot of Jedi and that the Republic is struggling to keep the peace and order together. So they send one of their most promising students to escort one senator. I don't know. It seems like a poor waste of resources to me.
Well, the problem is that the crawls in these movies don't always seem to go with the movie you're watching. Because I would say we are constantly told. First of all, these movies only have crawls because it's Star Wars. They don't need them, right?
Mm.
Like they're not. It's not really establishing anything useful. And actually, had I never thought of this until just now. I wouldn't have had one for episode one.
You wouldn't have had one.
I wouldn't have had one at all because it's the first one.
That's true.
The point of the crawl is to bridge the gap between two episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
I just wouldn't have even had one. I would have had a very different kind of opening, like a really, really bold opening that's like, here's the friend. Like, still you could use the Star Wars theme, but like it would have been a totally different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I was gonna say is about when I said that the crawls almost don't even go with these sometimes is the deal is we are told that things are a lot bleaker and worse off than they ever look.
Yeah, we don't really. The weird thing about the prequels is you want to kind of see the Clone Wars. That's like the thing that Obi-Wan, the big event in the past that Obi-Wan talks about fighting with Anakin. And we kind of just see the very beginning of it and the very end of it in the movies. You kind of wish the prequels were the Clone Wars. Like all three movies took place within the Clone Wars.
Yeah, and that you saw the impact and the consequences of, what do you call it, war.
Yeah, that's what might drive someone to the dark side is a war.
Yeah, but I mean, like we don't really see Anakin go through anything except like a couple of token moments where he's just like really angry about a couple of things. But
yeah, I mean, we see him like see his mother die in front of him and stuff like that. That's kind of traumatic, but
he already seems screwed up before that happens.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'm just saying that we're constantly told, especially like in episode one, that like people are starving and stuff. And you just don't see any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think anybody lives on Naboo, by the way. I think they have like I think Gungans live in the ocean, and I think they have like they have the military, and that's it. I don't think anybody actually lives there.
The scene they put in at the end of the special edition of Return of the Jedi shows people partying on Naboo, so we know at least there's a population there post Return of the Jedi. But yeah, now there's no one there.
Sure does. I mean, we're told people are there, but we don't really see them. Look at this beautiful, lush planet.
Yeah, Naboo's a cool place. I find it interesting. I kind of want to read the Darth Plagueis novel. It's not.
Oh, okay. Those are some people. There's some people there.
Yeah. I want to read the Darth.
Everyone was on vacation in episode one.
Yeah, I want to read the Darth Plagueis novel because, of course, Darth Sidious's home planet is also Naboo. He comes from this place.
Right.
And there's a whole thing where supposedly in that book, his father was a senator and he kills him to get a position of power in the Republic. And
cool.
I don't know. It sounds like a really interesting kind of thing because I don't know. I always thought that the most interesting story out of all the characters in this is the Emperor, a guy that seizes despotic power in the Republic. It's kind of the story of Julius Caesar and Adolf Hitler and all of the leaders that used democratically elected power to become a dictator. It's happened a lot of times in republics.
Well, and we don't have to be as distanced from him as we obviously have to in the original trilogy because he's pretending to be a good guy. And what if you had a series of movies where even though you know what's going to happen, he almost makes you buy it. He's that good.
Yeah, exactly. And
I mean, you want to see that. I'm not saying he should be the protagonist, but wouldn't it have been neat if he was almost like palling around with our heroes?
No, I mean, I think that would be great. And give the Emperor an argument as to why the Republic is dysfunctional, right? Like, give the Empire a reason for existence. I mean, people...
Yeah.
In other expanded universe things, we see the Sith Empire rise because the Republic is corrupt. It doesn't protect its people. all sorts of reasons. People swear loyalty to the Sith Empire because they need protection and they want to have stable markets they can do trade in and things like that, you know?
Well, and again, that's the whole reason that we need to see the negative side of the Republic in this. We need to see when it's not working. It seems kind of perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
We're told things are bad, but like you hear a lot of like politics and stuff. But the thing is, the what you basically have with Palpatine is a guy who steps in and says that he needs to use emergency powers, but he never says the Republic is messed up. He always says, "I believe in democracy. I believe in the Republic." He's got that line later, "I believe in democracy." And he always swears that he's going to give his power back. And I'm not saying that that's a bad way to go, because it'd be really interesting if everybody bought it and then he was like, "Nope, I'm going to keep my power." But the problem is that I don't know why people buy it.
Yeah, I mean, there is stuff in the Phantom Menace where the Republic is dysfunctional and they can't manage this trade dispute, and that's why the Jedi are sent in the first place. So, I mean,
Okay.
there is
That's right.
dysfunction that we can see. But it's not like dire dysfunction, or at least we're told that there are dire situations, like you said, but we don't
That's
really
what I'm saying.
see the
We're
consequences of them.
told. We don't see it, and I don't even like in that situation. I don't even know why the Jedi were any more helpful than anybody else would have been to sit in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, they could have, because the Trade Federation has a representative in the Senate, they could have worked the differences out and come to a mutual agreement rather than sending the Jedi in to negotiate potentially. I don't know. Uh,
Yeah.
I always thought the design of the Kaminoans, I forget, I can't remember if that's their name. But Kamino and these aliens themselves, I always thought they were kind of cool.
They are cool. I always thought this scene was like really mysterious and strange and interesting, and then um the clones are kind of just, there's this one guy and we cloned him and there's an army. I feel like once we get past all this, I'm not real sure what even the point was of having to see the negotiation that creates the clones in the first place. Like, or I forget, or they already started. I forget, but
A Jedi Master named Sifo-Dyas supposedly put the clone army into production
oh, that's right, that's right.
for the Republic. I can't remember if it's confirmed anywhere, if it's Dooku or Sidious is pretending to be Sifo-Dyas, or if he was a real Jedi Master. I don't remember off the top of my head. But the cool thing, I think, when you put this in the context of the expanded universe, that's really interesting about the fact that they cloned Jango Fett, is that previously, this is during the Old Republic era, during the time right before the Knights of the Old Republic game is set. There's a large scale war between the Republic and the Mandalorians, in which the Mandalorian clans ravage Republic worlds, and they're kind of manipulated by the Sith into being puppets for them. So it's really interesting that Palpatine's clone army is made up of Mandalorians, and he's using that to change the Republic into an empire.
Oh,
It's kind of cool, right? Because the Empire is literally becoming, or the Republic is literally becoming the thing that almost destroyed them a millennia ago, a very long time ago.
yeah, it's really interesting. But you just wish some of that background was in this, and that's all, of course, stuff that's kind of added retroactively.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
But
think
it's
Knights
really
of the
rough
Republic came
when
out
the
a
most.
year after this, so that was yeah, it was retroactively added. Not too long later, but
But then it's not like we bring it up in the following film or
oh yeah,
anything.
definitely.
Like it's really rough when all the interesting stuff happens outside of the movies. It's almost like, and I mean, like there's some obvious reasons for that. Like I said, I just feel like we're seeing a guy making movies here that doesn't really have a vision for them,
Mm-hmm.
and beyond just the obvious skeleton of, well, I know what's supposed to happen, because that was the setup for the background that we had for the other movies, but that's kind of it. And they kind of watch as just like these generic foundation pieces that other things can be made from after that. Like these big budget movies that you're supposed to go to the theater, they're supposed to be the really important things. But they kind of, I don't know, they kind of look like, trying to think of a good example, okay, it's like it's like a starter deck for a card game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, if you really want to delve into it, you're going to have to buy a bunch more stuff.
No, and the things with the clones that they've done in expanded universe stuff is really cool. Like I always liked the Republic Commando video game, and then the novels that came out after that, and all the questions as to whether these clones view themselves as individuals or just kind of, products that are to be used at the disposal of the public. It brings up a lot of interesting questions. I wish that was part of the movie. I feel like one of the clones should have been a protagonist of these movies.
Well, these are just really plotty.
Yeah.
They're just not so much about the people involved, and when they are, it's really, especially when you look at Anakin and Padme, it's just really generic and really kind of surface.
And the thing that's weird to me, like, George Lucas's original Star Wars script doesn't resemble anything like what was made into A New Hope, like it was rewritten. But I know George Lucas at least is capable of writing good things. Like American Graffiti was a script he wrote all by himself, and that's a pretty good movie. I like that movie a lot.
It's also a lot earlier than this.
Yeah, it is. I'm just saying at one point the man had the talent in him to write something he had a vision for. Obviously, the 50s, the time he grew up in, he had a lot of nostalgia for those kind of things. It was, he was kind of writing something that he really cared about. Maybe that wasn't the case here. I don't know.
Well, it almost watches like the guy who created something coming back to it after it became something else without him.
Mm-hmm.
And to a degree, that kind of happened with the movies. I mean, like he was always there, but those were just much more collaborative than these.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And these they just simply should have been more collaborative. I'm so frustrated with that kind of thing because I see some parallels with this to some stuff with McFarlane and Spawn.
Oh yeah.
And it's just very frustrating because you're seeing guys not playing to their strengths.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. Because like this idea of a clone army, I think is a really cool one. Lucas is the idea guy, right? You go to him for ideas like that, and somebody else does something cool. And these are the love scenes that I used to fall asleep during.
Yeah, they're just so superficial, Dan.
And it's really disappointing because we talked when we reviewed the Star Wars comic by Jason Aaron. I thought that one of the best things about that was the romantic tension between Leia and Han. You see the spark in their relationship. You realize that it comes from something that each of those two characters have in their personalities and the situation in which they currently find themselves. That's why they get together. Han's a man of action. Leia's frustrated by no one else besides Han wanting to take action. There's something there. These two people, I got nothing, man. Like, why do these like each other? Because they're good-looking people, I guess.
They don't feel like people. They don't look at each other like people. Like the way both of them, especially Anakin, but the way both of them talk to each other, they kind of talk to each other like they're of another species. They're almost like like just prizes to be won eventually or something. They don't talk to people like people talk to people.
Anakin just declared that he thinks that dictatorship should happen.
Yeah, and she smiled and laughed about it.
I think he kind of tried to play it off as a joke too, but like it's just weird that Darth Vader before he fell to the dark side is like, let's have a dictatorship, guys. Like there's no progression of this character, right?
Yeah, not even a little bit. This is not a hero who's got the right intentions and eventually is he dead? Because that'd be exciting.
Star Wars is over.
Yeah, that's it. No, they do the Smallville thing where we find out that's not the real Jimmy Olsen. But like, give these people some character traits. Give them some hobbies. Give them something they have in common besides rolling around in the grass.
Yeah, I mean, Anakin's hobby is piloting, but you can't really.
Padme's hobby is politics.
Yeah, those things aren't really compatible, are they?
No, and it's got to be more than that. It's got to be more than just your job. I mean, I mean, okay, I have seen that work. Some people just throw themselves so much in their work that their work is their fun. That's all they have. But like, you can make that really interesting too, because then you have kind of got maybe an obsessive personality, or you just have this one huge passion. But these are not people that are The problem is no one in these movies is passionate, Dan. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
This movie does not have passionate people, because Jedis are supposed to be totally stoic, and basically it's just one note characterizations where, well, this is the guy who is really stoic, and then there's like 24 Jedi that are all that character, and then Anakin's the guy who's supposed to be jaded, so he has that. He's just always perpetually annoyed and angry.
So we are
now. And then Padme's the love interest.
We are now witnessing the first appearance of one of my favorite Star Wars characters.
Aren't you excited, Dan?
A lot of people say this ruined Boba Fett, making him a clone of Jango Fett. I don't necessarily see a problem with making him a clone of his dad. I mean, if his dad is as good as, or if not better than, what Boba Fett is, I don't really see a problem. But Jango Fett does get killed pretty easily by Mace Windu, and Boba Fett's supposed to be a guy that can hunt Jedi down with just his blasters, so.
Well, I can see why that would bug people. I mean, I don't have a dog in this fight, but I can see why that would annoy people, Dan, because if he's supposed to be the greatest bounty hunter in the galaxy, I can see why people would be let down or cry foul by, oh well, he's just a clone of another guy who was that in the first place. Like, he's not self-made. He's not self-taught at all. I mean, like, you could have a really interesting father-son relationship where his father like mentors him to be that, but to just have it basically, and this is how people look at it, and I think this is fair, to have it just basically be, well, we know Boba Fett's a popular character, so we basically do Boba Fett before Boba Fett. I see why that bothers people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've seen things that have done interesting father-son relationship with them in the comics that I kind of like. So, I mean, maybe that colors my perception of it, but I don't know. It never really bothered me.
Well, it's got it, because don't you think that's just a commercial move and nothing else?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm just saying it's just a commercial move. That guy is Boba Fett with blue and purple. I mean, that's
apparently young Han Solo was supposed to be in Revenge of the Sith, but that got cut.
I heard about that.
And that that's blatant commercial move as well. So we're not above that with these movies.
Yeah, well, and that's the problem, is that it's your change in perceptions when things get popular, and that's an understatement with Star Wars, because Star Wars is an institution. You can't imagine the world without it. So what we had with the original trilogy was a series that had a lot of really cool things that were toy worthy, and what we have now are toy commercials.
Right.
And Star Wars has got to be both. Like, it's fine. And when I say now, I mean this. I'm hoping the new movie is both. And when I say both, I mean just make things that are really cool and toy worthy, but don't think about that part of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
As much. I don't have a problem with thinking about the business side of a movie when you're making it, because you're selling a thing. You got to do that. But you just be savvy. Tell a good story that happens to have a lot of cool stuff that I want to buy from it. My favorite thing is when I love a thing so much I can't keep my money in my pocket.
Right. Exactly.
Like, it's not being duped. I want to love something so much. I want everything from it.
Yeah, I
like
feel the same way.
When I got finished playing Arkham City, I just wanted to buy everything that had anything to do with that.
Yeah. No, and I felt the same way after watching the original trilogy of Star Wars. I mean, you know, a lot of those characters that are in the movies originated like in the background. And I can't remember if Boba Fett was originally a toy first or they put him in the holiday special and then he was a toy after that because he was a special like mail-in figure that you had to mail stuff from Kenner Toys to get and things like that. So I mean, he was the product. That character alone is a product of marketing and things like that. It became one of my favorite characters. So, like you said, it's just what you do with those kind of things.
You know, you don't want to feel like you're being sold things in a thing like this. I mean, I am a fan of some things that are just toy commercials. That's a different thing.
Right.
But I think that the check is it capturing your imagination? And the reason that you would want to buy stuff from it is because it captured your imagination, and you especially if you're a kid, you want to recreate those things. This kids could easily go buy all the toys from it and make way better movies in their imaginations.
And many of the people that made video games and books out of this material did.
That's exactly what they did. Yeah, I said this with a Phantom Menace. That movie has an aesthetic that I cannot deny,
Oh yeah, it's cool looking. I
and the
think the
aesthetic
double
captured my imagination, but the
best
characters
ideas
didn't.
ever. It's my favorite type of lightsaber. If I was a Jedi, that's what I would use. Double-bladed lightsabers are so cool.
Um, I was in the theater. I keep talking about my initial experience with it. It's vivid in my mind because I was flabbergasted, Dan.
Hmm.
This I remember watching scenes like this and thinking because I was in high school and I remember thinking I just went to a play like 2 weeks ago at high school with the acting was exactly like this.
See,
We talked over it earlier, but you've got that moment where they're making out and then the soundtrack stops. My jaw dropped in the theater. I could not believe they did that in a Star Wars movie. I was just like, is this a Star Wars movie or a parody of Harlequin romance novels in a Star Wars movie? I didn't know what I was looking at.
I
Did he
always.
just say near the old folks home?
That's true.
He totally said old folks home. Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars says old folks home. Just want to throw that out there. Obi-Wan is not PC. See, we're getting character traits. Dan. We're learning details about the intricate,
No, I
intimate
take it back.
details.
If Obi-Wan's not PC, he just became my favorite Star Wars character.
He's Mac.
No, I so wish that these movies are about the lore of the Jedi and the Sith a little bit more too, because like that.
I love how all we can talk about right now is what we wished we were watching.
Yeah,
It's fantastic. I mean, like I'd love to sit here and praise more things about this, but like and it's been a while since besides last week when I watched some of this, it had been a while since I sat through this, but like yeah, it's as dull as I remember it, Dan. Like the pacing is so slow.
I mean, we just watched Obi-Wan tell Yoda and Mace Windu information that we already know from the scene that we watched Obi-Wan walk around in earlier. I mean, there was no need.
All you have to do is cut to like the very tail end of that conversation where it's clear that he just delivered all that information and then have them have this exchange.
Exactly.
It's like we're padding out a movie that's already 20 minutes longer than it needs to be.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Why is this movie 2 hours and 20 minutes?
I have no idea. And the main villain of the piece, Count Dooku, doesn't show up. Let's see at what timestamp Count Dooku shows up. Okay?
You know, I forgot he was even in this movie.
And it's so unfortunate because Christopher Lee, man, he's so good.
Christopher Lee.
Natalie Portman looks really nice. She's a good-looking woman.
I mean, that's all I got.
I can see why Anakin would be attracted to her physically. I just got nothing.
Oh man, this is a difficult commentary to be entertaining during. I find myself feeling more like Anakin Skywalker the more I watch this movie. I feel like I'm just whining.
Yeah, you're just
Like that's this
frustrated.
movie. Yeah, after a while I'm just like,
Doesn't it make you want to, just take
this
something
movie
and
doesn't
yell, "It's
understand
all
me.
Obi-Wan's fault," and throw it across the room?
This movie doesn't understand me.
That's something I've wondered. How old is Anakin supposed to be in this movie? I don't remember how many years after the Phantom Menace this is.
I thought it was like 8 or 10.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I should know that, but I can't remember.
Okay, this might sound like a really stupid point. I'm gonna make it anyway because we got some time to waste. I was when I saw this and it came out, I always thought, and I still feel this way, and I don't know if I can articulate this, if this will make any sense. I just felt like the look and performance, and I mean Hayden Christensen is Hayden Christensen. It's not his fault. He's out of place. He just doesn't even feel like he fits in this world. He's too contemporary feeling.
Yeah.
Like he feels like an early 2000s teenager. He brings this whole dated thing to this movie.
It's in stark contrast to
I don't know
Ewan
if that's
McGregor.
fair or makes any sense, but it's just how I feel about it.
It's such a stark contrast to Ewan McGregor because he's so perfect.
Dan, people are fighting now,
They are.
and I feel like I might be almost kicked out of apathy here in a second, because I'm watching this fight, and it might be a thrilling fight here.
One of my favorite Star Wars video games is a game called Star Wars Bounty Hunter, where you play as Jango Fett. It's a great
Oh,
game.
cool. I can't watch this part of the movie without feeling like I should be uh, going around breaking Lego bricks.
That's true. I love Lego Star Wars as well. I used to love. I had those on the original Xbox. Good games.
The first one I got was on the GameCube,
Oh, nice.
and then I've got the others on PlayStation 2. I've still never played the one based on Clone Wars, but
Yeah, I
I gotta
haven't
get that.
either. I never even got the package that had all 6 movies in it. I just had the 2 separate discs.
Oh yeah, you should get that because it's actually a different game.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they added a lot of stuff to it.
Oh, cool.
It's a little, if memory serves, it's a little different. It's worth going through it again.
See, one of the things I'm jealous about you PS4 people over is Sony got a deal with LucasArts to put out a bunch of old Star Wars games on the PlayStation Store. Like Bounty Hunter is one of them. I can't remember all of them, but there's a bunch of them. I
Oh,
think
cool.
I think Shadows of the Empire might be one of them too, but I'm not positive. There's a bunch of them that they're putting out on the PlayStation Store, and I really want to play them again.
Boy, I wonder what it's like to go back and play Shadows of the Empire now after all those years. Like, I
I
wonder how
bet
well that holds up.
after playing modern shooters, I bet it's probably pretty rough.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, I'm really glad that they did an updated version of GoldenEye because that's hard to go back to.
Oh yeah,
And
it
I mean,
is.
I mean, I loved it, but it's a little tough to go back to.
The new GoldenEye game was great too. I thought
I heard that. I still haven't gotten it. I want to do that at some point,
you
but
should check it out. But
it's been
anyway,
it's been
Star
a long time
Wars.
now. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we watching Star Wars?
We're talking about James Bond and a deck that.
Well, I find myself quite. It's vaguely related. I find myself asking that question all the way through this. Am I watching Star Wars?
Yes, we're on Tatooine, so
So yeah, okay. It looks like Star Wars.
um,
The screen is sure littered with a whole bunch of things right now. So it feels like modern Star Wars.
yeah,
Okay, so I have a feeling that the new movies are liable to go back to some of the stuff and try to do some stuff with it.
you think so?
I really do.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be
I
interesting
really
to
I
see
think there
because
will
like
be
all of the
there will be some
marketing and like the
connectors.
extra material that they've been doing, like they've been specifically shying away from addressing any of this stuff. Like the new Battlefront game doesn't look like it has any prequel stuff in it, and that would be the game you'd
You
expect to have that
haven't
kind of stuff, you know?
you haven't read Shattered Empire yet.
Oh, okay.
It does a lot of it.
Oh, cool.
It goes back to Naboo,
Oh, okay.
and it's got Leia flying around in a Naboo fighter.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
I think she
No,
goes
they
back to
did a little,
Naboo in the Princess Leia comic book. Now that I think about it, too.
and Greg Rucka in that creates an explanation for why nothing horrible ever happened in Naboo in these.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's all about like the emperor's fingers lingering on past the grave.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so like the fact that he's from Naboo and stuff is dealt with in that. But anyway,
That's awesome.
you'll have to read that. It's cool.
Yeah, I can't wait till that comes out in trade. I think it comes out in maybe a week or two. It's supposed to come out
But
in
that
November.
but that being a book that is supposed to be part of like the lead up to the new movie is part of what's making me wonder if they won't do a little bit of that in those.
Yeah.
Like maybe not the first one, but I think eventually, especially because you imagine they'll try to build some sort of new republic or something,
Mm.
and it's just there's got to be some at the very least some subtle parallels and stuff.
I mean, as long as they do something cool with it and it makes sense in the story, and
Yeah,
I'm fine with it. I'm not necessarily opposed to seeing prequel stuff as long as it's done well. You know.
I don't know why because I don't ultimately like these as stories, but I kind of want to see some of that. It's canonical. We're kind of stuck with it. I mean, I like it's this period, at least just the aesthetic of it. I kind of want to see it embraced and just be part of the history.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's why I thought what Greg Rucka did with it was really classy.
I always loved the design of Boba Fett's ship, Slave One. I think it's so cool looking.
And now, dubstep blast.
The Jedi fighters are kind of cool too, design wise. The ones in Revenge of the Sith look cooler, but I do like those ones because they have a cool that hyperspace ring they have is really cool because most fighter ships can't go into hyperspace like TIE fighters, of course. Like they have to return to the Star Destroyer uh, to
They're like short range vehicles.
yeah. So the Jedi have that little hyperspace ring so they can get around it.
So this is supposed to be like a really exciting, intense chase through an asteroid field, and I think the choice to not have any music behind it is to try to make that tenser, but somehow or rather it just isn't effective.
Not nearly as tense as the asteroid chase in Empire.
And that has music in
It
it.
does, yeah.
But obviously we have asteroids because it's what we did in Empire.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because Dan, this is the second one.
We got to line it up. And Boba Fett first
See,
appeared.
it's like poetry. It rhymes. I'm sorry, what?
And Boba Fett first appeared in Empire, so got to bring him in the second one.
Yep. There's that too.
You know, they should have made a prequel holiday special where they introduced Kid Boba Fett first. That would have.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. And it should have been it should have been set on Naboo, and it should have
Gungan
been
Life Day.
Jar Jar Binks' family when he's gone. And or maybe Boss Nass's family. Maybe that's what it should have
I
been.
do not want to see anyone related to Boss Nass pleasuring themselves. That would be awful.
Oh god. I feel like I have a more complete understanding of the history of Star Wars now that I finally forced myself to sit through the holiday special. I felt like somebody should have been paying me for that.
I'll cut you a check.
Thanks, Dan. I just got this check in the mail from Dan. It says "ha ha ha" all over it. I like how Boba Fett is just like is just like this like playing like this 2-dimensional kid that's just like haha I like people getting killed.
They're trying to parallel his character with Anakin, aren't you aware?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, Kid Anakin in Phantom Menace, Kid Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones.
Oh,
Parallels.
I didn't. Wow, I didn't put that together, Dan. That's wow. Boy, it's just it's more layered than I realized.
It is
There's
because
some complexity.
in Empire, Boba Fett works with Darth Vader, and they were both kids in the prequel movies. So it's the
Whoa.
circle is now complete, as Darth Vader would
Whoa.
say.
Whoa. That's great. Wait. So you mean that all these people that we'll see later, and by later I mean like linearly, that all those people they met before. Whoa, that's crazy. I can't even. That's so creative. That's so clever that you would think to have these people like conveniently meet before their destinies are intertwined later, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have thought of that. I think Count Dooku is going to show up next time we see Obi-Wan. So remind me to look at the timestamp. Oh no, I can't look at the timestamp without pausing. Never mind. You might have to
Oh, I
look it
can.
for me.
I'd be happy to, Dan. Well, Dan. You're gonna cry when I say that we're at the halfway point.
Oh my god.
That's where we are.
I had a grayed out C-3PO toy.
Yeah. Did you really?
I did. One of the action figures. I had all of the versions of C-3PO. I had the one from the Phantom Menace. I had this grayed out one, and then the gold plated one too.
I forgot about the grayed out one. I think that I mean we talked about how silly it was to have Anakin Skywalker create C-3PO and how he doesn't seem to serve the function that he always said he serves later, and he continues to say human cyborg relations, but he's never been that apparently until later.
Yeah, what is
But
this
but
slave mom gonna do with a translator?
but I have well yeah, and I mean like his elbows don't hardly move. So I don't know how he's supposed to help around the house. But anyway, he gets in like as much or more danger in these as he got in the original trilogy, and it's just hard to believe that robot stays intact at
Right.
all.
Yeah.
It has any of his original parts by the end. Like there should be a whole identity thing with C-3PO where he has his parts interchanged so much that he's not sure if he's the same person anymore because at some point he's got entirely different parts than he
That's
did
true.
before. So like this big question as to whether or not he's actually C-3PO.
He does have a red arm in Force Awakens. We know. We've seen pictures of him. He's got a red arm, so maybe that'll be an identity crisis.
You think? You think that'll be on? I don't think so, Dan.
The movie's act the central protagonist of the new movie is actually C-3PO. We've been lied to.
So you get to this point in the movie and you're like, man, he's been incredibly conflicted and tortured this whole movie. What's he gonna do now that he's got something to be tortured about?
He's gonna kill people.
Oh God. We really I don't mean to harp on this, but I don't know what else to talk about, Dan. we, we we really should have made this guy kind of charming, and then he keeps his darkness to himself, right?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that what you would do with that? Especially because he's supposed to be known later as like this great hero. It's supposed to be this horrible tragedy that this happened.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I mean, it would be a tragedy anyway. But like, the Jedi Council is as naive for trusting Anakin as they are for trusting Palpatine.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that whole thing at the end of Episode 1 where it's like we shouldn't train him. That's a terrible idea. And then just obligatorily, we're training him for no good reason. because
Really?
now we've brought. So you and I had an argument about whether or not this music was in this movie, and here's where it is, and I don't know why. But we've got Duel of the Fates here. I guess because he's getting, darker and stuff. But like, really, Duel of the Fates, right? Okay.
Yeah, nobody's dueling.
Well, first of all, that's a good point. Second of all, there's no Darth Maul. Like, isn't that Darth Maul's theme? Like, I think that's in there because that music got really popular, so that everybody in the theater would be like, "Oh my God, it's da 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 da," and then it's just like,
Corn
now he's
on the cob. You'll never be able to unhear that once you hear it. That's what they're saying.
That's not what they're saying.
It's
Does it just sound like that?
Speak, but if you listen to it, it's exactly what it sounds like you're saying. Count Dooku.
Corn on the cob.
Okay, so what is the timestamp right now?
Well, do we see him yet? Is he there yet?
He's going to be showing up in a...
I'll give you the exact timestamp when he comes up.
According to the
we have nothing better to do right now.
He is currently clanking, so...
I hear it, Dan. That looks like there's probably going to be an action scene on it, Dan.
I was going to say, there's your future action set piece.
I got a feeling there's going to be people running through like a video game where they've got to memorize the order.
Oh, is this him?
Is that him?
I think so.
There he is. 1:16:52, Dan.
An hour and 16 minutes into the movie. We see the...
In 52 seconds.
Wow. That's special.
He is a cool actor.
Yeah, I love Christopher Lee.
I want to say, did he just passed away? Yeah.
He did, yes.
Yeah. I sometimes get Christopher Lee mixed up with a couple other people. I was like, I think it's Christopher Lee who we just lost.
Christopher Lee he's so cool.
The Techno Union Army. What is that?
I don't know if you've ever heard the stories.
Then there's the Banking Clan.
I don't know if you've ever heard the stories about Christopher Lee, but apparently, like, he used to be in the British Special Forces during World War II and used to hunt Nazis. And
whoa, really?
Yeah, during Lord of the Rings, the filming of that movie, this is one of the famous stories. Peter Jackson was like, "So just act as if you were just stabbed in the back." And Christopher Lee turns around and looks at him and goes, "I don't have to imagine it." And everyone's like, "Whoa,
whoa!"
Christopher Lee is just a complete awesome guy.
That's amazing. And he cut a heavy metal album a couple years ago.
So awesome.
And it was the strangest thing. He did this heavy metal version of Don Quixote.
That's amazing.
And he's like, "I am I, Don Quixote." And it's got like this double kick bass behind it. And it was really weird. It's on Spotify. You should look it up.
I am definitely going to do that as soon as possible.
So we got our Sand People, because we got to get everybody excited because we got Star Wars things in our Star Wars movie, Dan.
It's Shmi.
It's Shmi. It's you? Yeah, it's Shmi. It's Shmi. Mario.
Yeah. What accent would you say that is? It's Shmi. Mario.
It's Shmi. Mario. I don't know.
We are scraping the bottom of the barrel right now, aren't we?
Yep. Sometimes I wish I could look in sort of real time and figure out exactly what timestamps people leave when they listened all the way up to that point. Like sometimes people will skip around, but I mean, a person that comes in and starts at 0 and listens and then is like, I mean, I've been here since Dooku showed up, but I just can't take it anymore. Do you think Anakin Skywalker is so jaded because his nickname sounds like a girl's name?
Probably.
You think it's like if he was a boy named Sue? You think it's like that?
Yeah. You know,
Somebody should do a parody of the musical Annie and make it about Anakin Skywalker.
that would be amazing. Yes, please.
Somebody should totally do that.
Well, this is sad.
I think she's a decent actress.
Yeah. The dialogue she was given in that scene was awful. She was like, "My grown-up son, I am complete."
You make her sound like a robot.
Yeah, exactly.
She's dying and she's like trying to complete the death process. She's like processing. Oh my god, here comes the evil face. Now, wouldn't this be a lot more effective if he like
Was a good person.
hadn't seemed like the sort of person that might do this anyway?
Yeah, I know, right? Oh,
I mean like you could what's that?
the subtitles say Qui-Gon Jinn's voice. Anakin, no. I never realized it was supposed to be Qui-Gon. That's cool.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Because
that's cool.
Yeah, because in the expanded universe, Qui-Gon is the guy that figured out how to do Force ghosting and taught Obi-Wan and Yoda.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know if you knew that or not, but that's really cool that they put that in there. I never knew that. You learn something new every time.
I mean, all I remembered was the end of Revenge of the Sith when Yoda tells Obi-Wan that he'll teach him how to do that.
Right.
With him, but yeah, that means that they brought back Liam Neeson to do that to yell no, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I can't remember if he yells Anakin no in the Phantom Menace and they might have reused it, but I can't remember off the top of my head. It's not a memorable line.
Yeah, but when would you ever have caused that dramatically to say that to a 9-year-old?
I don't know. That is a very good question.
I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. That is really cool that that's in there though.
Yeah.
Because again, it's supposed to be this really tragic thing where he's going down this dark path, but it's just, as we keep saying, it's not gradual at all, and it just already seems like something's kind of right. He should just be a complex layered person where he seems like the kind of person that is, I don't know, like he needs to be everything that the movie is pretending like he is, but just better. You know what I mean? Like he should be kind of reckless and really sure of himself. And all of that, but it shouldn't come from this like teenage angsty place.
I always thought Anakin Skywalker should be portrayed kind of like Han Solo, not like as much of a seedy kind of person, but like the same sort of attitude towards the things that he does. Right? Like he's always sure of himself, he's cocky, but in a charming sort of way.
Yeah, but then there should be like this underlying thing where that's the facade he shows everybody, and then there's this like deeper layer where he's introspective that he doesn't show very many people.
Yeah, and Padme is the one that he's able to be that person with.
Yeah, because she needs to be his best friend, not just a lover.
Right, exactly.
Like I think he needs to be more of like I mean maybe not even quite this tortured until later, but I think he needs to be more like Michael Rosenbaum Lex if he was more athletic.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. They kind of do that dark tragic character that's clearly on a dark path, but you like it anyway because he's got some good in him that you can see.
Yeah, but he's trying not.
Yeah, to exactly.
Be. I mean, the whole point of that character is he's trying not to be his father. And of course, that's the point of Luke Skywalker.
Right.
Anakin doesn't really have that. I guess Anakin could have had that, but then we could just keep doing this back and back and back, where it's like everybody's got an evil father they're trying not to be like. It is better if Anakin's the beginning of this, but he needs to be really wise at some point.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's the point. Is that he never is that.
He's power hungry.
Ever. He'll be the most powerful Jedi ever.
The most powerful Jedi ever.
That's Anakin Arad. That's Annie Arad.
He also puts on black thing.
And see, now he's just like making up random things. Like he's just suddenly gotten like really passive aggressive and
My mama died. Obi-Wan did it.
it's Obi-Wan's fault. He's always holding me back. Do you understand what a mentor is for? like that's kind of the point there, Anakin. Like again, I get like you're supposed to be this really powerful, but it's sort of like Superman when he loses his dad. There was nothing he could do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, although this is a case where he actually could have stopped that had he known about it and been there in time. But like he should face his own limitations and his mortality.
So, if someone that I was romantically interested
Oh boy,
in, before they started yelling at me, they slaughtered women and children like animals, I probably, maybe, wouldn't like them anymore.
Much less get married to them in like 3 days after this, or whatever it is. It is laying it on way too thick that we just played the Darth Vader music in that scene, dude. Like, seriously? Okay, we get it. He's going dark. You know what? He's kind of already been doing that, I feel like, Or at the very least, he's just, like, lashing out.
He's a funny guy.
This is a painful thing, Dan, to try to talk about for the entire time that it's running. I feel like I'm like I want to apologize to anybody else. It feels like it's also painful to listen to, because it's wow. I mean, I'm having fun talking to you, Dan. But
yeah, it's just tough because not a lot happens in this movie.
He has a hover chair.
He does. He's like Professor Xavier.
I bet they made a toy of that too.
I don't think I had a toy of Shmi's legless husband.
But now the middle picture of the packaging.
And
Shmi's legless husband.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's what I would be like. Not at his expense. The fact that they would print that on packaging.
That's what it's called. Legless action. Who doesn't want to play with that?
I mean, I'd be down.
R2-D2's like, hey guys, I'm in this movie too. I'm in this movie. I just want to remind you that this is a Star Wars movie, and they're not going to feel like they can make as many toys unless I stand here for a minute.
The droids get much more to do in Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith. They don't really have all that much to do in this one.
Oh, here after a while, they're gonna make C-3PO lose all his limbs like he did in Empire, though.
That's true.
Remember, because they're gonna have that whole. Because remember they set it up, Dan. It was foreshadowing. It was like really sophisticated foreshadowing where they showed us where there was gonna be an action set piece.
Okay.
Or
there's Bail Organa there. We saw him at the beginning of the movie.
Am I reading this wrong? Does this happen somewhere else? I don't know. Anyway.
Bail Organa is Leia's adopted daddy.
Yeah. I thought you said Bill Organa. William Organa. We got to go to Geonosis. You know why? Because Geonosis sounds like a place where there would be clones, because it has like Geo and Sis in it, and that sounds like Genesis. So it sounds like a place where
machine.
Sounds like a place where like genetic things would be going on.
Genetic things would happen. Welcome to Geonosis, the planet where genetic things happen.
It's the genetic thing planet.
Oh, I so wish that's what they said.
Okay, so Anakin is telling us that he has a father-son-like relationship with Obi-Wan Kenobi. which the movie thinks it has shown us, and that it's a complex relationship because he's angry with him a lot, but ultimately he loves him because we had such memorable exchanges like that one time with the Gandar pit or whatever it was. All of their camaraderie is built off screen.
Yes, it is. The Clone Wars animated series is the one that builds most of that camaraderie. And that's even after this, which is
Yeah.
even perplexing.
Well, like I say, if you're talking about the Cartoon Network one, man, I watched that after I saw Revenge of the Sith and was like, oh, now I understand what Grievous is.
I agree
Okay.
wholeheartedly with what Bail Organa just said.
Well, what did he
He
say?
said, "Unfortunately, this debate is not over." One of that the Emperor's bodyguard there in the Tarkin novel, he's a pretty menacing character.
There's a Tarkin novel? Oh yeah. The recent one?
Yeah, the Tarkin novel is really good stuff. You know what? I think Count Dooku's lightsaber is really cool. The fencing,
It is.
curve-handled one. I always really liked that.
I think so too. See, it's hard not to just go to the superficial stuff. What do you like about this movie? The lightsabers are cool.
Yeah.
I like the aliens with the long necks. I like the planet where they do genetic things.
See, the tragedy of Count Dooku is that you can't really create a villain that looks much cooler than Darth Maul. I mean, Darth Maul is just so cool looking, and then the guy that we get to replace him is just
A
an
guy.
old guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, Christopher Lee is awesome, but I don't know, man. He just doesn't. He's not as menacing as Darth Maul.
Well, yeah, he's not really menacing at all. He's kind of just generic Sith guy. The sense I get, and I think this is not a terrible idea. The sense I get is like, if you think about it, all these guys we've really seen have not looked like regular human people. Like, there's got to be some just regular human looking people.
Hmm.
So then we have one like the guy that replaces Maul just be a guy. I do like the choice to have the metal chain thing from the Vader suit on top of it.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
So you have this Vader has this like perverse robot version of the traditional garb
Of the Sith. Yeah.
of the Sith.
That
Yeah,
is cool.
it's a lot cooler than let's put the Jedi all in outfits that look like just whatever people on Tatooine were wearing. But like now we've decided those are Jedi robes. Okay. That's not a thing I ever thought about until Eric brought it up. That's his point. I gotta mention that. Maybe I mentioned that with the Phantom Menace commentary too. But like once I saw that, I could not unsee it. It's like obviously this is just what people in the desert would be wearing. Like, shouldn't they all be wearing black robes?
Well, I mean, in other things, the Sith are the ones that wear black robes.
Well, but then why did Luke have a black robe in three?
Then who?
Why did Luke Skywalker have a black robe in three?
That was one of the things that they wanted to throw you off with at the beginning of the movie. Like, oh, maybe Luke went to the dark side. You know,
Oh, so that wasn't supposed to be traditional Jedi garb at all.
no, it's not. No,
Then why is he wearing it?
I don't know.
Well, maybe he's trying to throw off uh, uh, Hut, Jabba the Hut,
Jabba,
Hut. Hut's not his last name. That's his. He's a
the
Hut.
man that ruined the Galactic Republic, Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks. See, I don't know how that's not completely intentional. You can't tell me that wasn't George Lucas going, fine, you don't like him, we'll make him the thing that leads us to the Empire. But not until after he's looked at the camera and smiled.
See, even the way that Ian McDiarmid's giving the speech here, like he's making Emperor like facial expressions.
Yeah.
And maybe that he just can't help it because that's who he is. But I don't know.
The first thing I'm going to do is militarize everything. But don't worry, I will stand down. And there's going to be a curfew, and there's going to be police at every street corner. But don't worry, when this is all taken care of, I will step down. Oh, I'm also going to raise taxes by 200%. And they all go to me. It's really necessary.
He'll get
I have a difficult time doing this job on a light stomach.
billion credits.
Nobody can see you do the finger thing. It's a commentary.
They know I did it.
It's a commentary. Oh.
When
see those columns?
Billion. It kind of requires you to do that.
Hey, Anakin, you see those columns of steam ahead? Don't fly into that, or our life gauge will go down.
He just blindly landed in a place where he can't see where he's going. And then she goes, whatever happens.
See, it's a metaphor for how his judgment is affected because of her beauty, Dan. He's blinded.
That's pretty deep. I never thought of that before. That's almost as good as the parallel between Kid Boba Fett and Kid Anakin.
There's no kid in 3 though, so like it doesn't continue to match up right. Like,
who would the third kid be?
I don't think there is a kid in 3.
Oh, Anakin's kid friend on Tatooine. That kid, he can be Kid 3. Did you know on the Star Wars app?
Is he in that movie?
That guy as your avatar picture. Why would you ever want to be that guy? He's just Anakin's kid friend in a couple scenes.
He probably has an action figure.
You have to scroll past him to get to the first Darth Vader one.
What?
Yeah.
Is it just in some sort of alphabetized?
I don't know, man. It's very strange.
Weird. But no, you said that the droids don't get much to do. See, we're about to have a lot of screen time with them.
Yeah, just in time for the final action set piece fest here. I mean, it's just kind of action for the rest of the movie at this point now.
Well, I'll take that over standing around talking unpassionately about politics.
That's true. Now, the Geonosians, they are a cool race. They're kind of a bug-like race in the Republic Commando video game. They actually are really menacing when you have to like fight them as people that don't have lightsabers in these dark tunnels. They ambush you and stuff. Like some of the things from Geonosis are made really cool in the video games when you're not playing as Jedi and, you know, I don't know.
See, we're here now, and now we're doing that. See, I can't watch this scene without being reminded of Galaxy Quest.
Yeah,
that scene where Sigourney Weaver's like, why would anyone build this? Why is this here? It doesn't make any sense.
It reminds you of a platforming like video game like shop level from Sonic the Hedgehog or something like that.
Well, especially because they show it to you in a side scroll view, and then they go above, and then it's like there's games that do that too, and yeah,
it's Droid Factory Zone. I want to hear the jazzy Sonic track for Droid Factory Zone. I bet it.
You got to get the word brain or scrap in there someplace, Dan.
That's true.
But, at least though, the difference between this and that Sigourney Weaver scene is that at least this has a purpose.
That's true.
Like it is making droid. Now it might be destroying droids. So he said scrap. The word scrap's got to be in that level. Yeah.
It is kind of cool that Anthony Daniels has played C-3PO for all 6 and now 7 movies.
And like anything else that ever had C-3PO in it at all.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder.
He just shows up to work for anything.
The same thing with Peter Mayhew too, the guy who plays Chewbacca. He's down for anything that has Chewbacca in it.
I was a little surprised to see his name on the IMDb page for the new movie because he's not been in good health the last couple of
Yeah,
years.
he isn't he confined to a wheelchair now?
Yeah, so I don't know how he did that. I don't know how he did that. I don't know how he put the suit on.
Me either.
But okay,
No,
yeah.
good for him though. Like that's awesome.
Well, he was confined. I don't know if he got out of it. I mean, like, I don't know if he was confined. I just know he got sick and he was in a wheelchair for a while. I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. I mean, at Star Wars Celebration, he was in a wheelchair.
Was he?
Yeah, at
All
least
right.
I think so. If I'm remembering correctly. I'm doubting myself. I don't know. But I thought he was.
See, now it just is Lego Star Wars.
Yes, it is.
Because we got like people putting heads on other things that they don't go on, and this is for the kids. See, this is 20 minutes after Anakin like kills people. Now it's for the kids. I'm not saying you can't have dark things in Star Wars. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that if I were a little kid, I would be incredibly confused about whether or not Anakin was supposed to be a hero or not at any point.
Did you just see the foreshadowing of the robot army he's going to get later?
Yeah, Dan. I'm not impressed. That one was obvious. Okay. Like that. Hey, Dan. I want to feel the suspense in this scene, but I kind of have this feeling that Amidala is not that Padme is not gonna get lavaed
I don't know, man. It's a
because if
50
she got,
shot at this point.
are you sure? Because if she gets lavaed, then there's no Luke or Leia. See,
Yeah,
that chick has to be around, or there's no Luke and Leia, because that's their mom. Did you know
she
that?
could just give birth right now.
What is she, a bird? Does she lay eggs?
Oh man, you could have.
This is how it happens. Oh my god.
Episode
That's
3 begins right now.
wow. She's like, damn. That's a. How does she keep from showing? That's amazing.
Natalie Portman is just a really fit lady.
Boy, those are gonna be some little kids.
Anakin's lightsaber.
There is just no tension.
Yeah.
Yes, you got these moments where like he's supposed to be sort of charming or something.
They're no match for droidicas.
Droidicas. And it's like, why bother?
Gunray's comment about droidicas I use pretty often in almost any context in Star Wars when they show up.
Newt Gunray.
Did you know
Wonder
his
how.
name before I mentioned that?
No, I did.
Oh,
I wonder how many action figures they made of that guy.
I had a Newt Gunray action figure, in fact.
See, of course you did. I used to play the collectible card game Young Jedi.
Oh yeah.
And so I got to know a lot of those random characters that you wouldn't necessarily remember their names from watching these movies. And that's how I got kind of interested in Aura Singh because her look is just really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. I
kind of want to go back and study up on her now.
Focusing on her, but I've heard there's been some cool stuff done with her.
I need to go in and look at them because I always liked her, and I can't tell you what it is I like about her except for her look. She looks cool, but like I like
hunters, man. They're just
like
real cool. All of them are. You know, like Bossk, the Trandoshan bounty hunter that shows up in Empire. He's a cool guy.
See, I want to have that one really obscure Star Wars character that I'm like a huge fan of that nobody knows anything about. I want to have that one thing because I feel like I can't call myself a real Star Wars fan. Like I'm working on becoming a real Star Wars fan. I'm starting to really enjoy more Star Wars, and I don't feel like I can call myself a real Star Wars fan until I have that character. And Aura Singh is going to be that character.
There you go.
So I'm gonna like study up everything like EU that's decanonicized. I don't care. And then I'll start talking to people about RSA. They'll be like, wow, you're really into Star Wars. And then like I'll be like, nah, but I'm not gonna tell you that, And like I'll just Aura Singh,
The only thing I know about is Aura Singh.
I gotta have the clock. She's gonna be my clock king for Star Wars. Oh, except it's not like I know everything about Clock King. Maybe she'll just be that character that I bring up a lot as if I know something about her. I think actually maybe she already is.
There you go.
It's like, wow, Captain Logan really likes R. Singh. I don't think he knows anything about her, though. She's got that kind of like mohawk ponytail thing.
She does, and she's got really pale skin.
She's got super pale skin, which I couldn't decide if it was paint or not. I think it's paint.
I think it is paint. Yeah.
I think it's paint.
I'm not sure though.
That's what we know.
I actually kind of like the way Ewan McGregor delivered that when he looked at the chains and goes, "Good job."
Yeah, because he's coming to rescue him. He's like, oh, well done.
There's good old Newt. Do you think Newt Gunray was inspired by Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House? I wonder.
Well, now that you've said that, I think there's a fair possibility.
I had a toy of this thing.
Oh, did you really?
I did.
Wow. I gotta tell you, man, I don't know that that's holding up real well.
What's that?
So I don't know, something about that thing when it came out, like, that doesn't look like it's really there. But I don't know.
I remember having to fight.
I always liked the design of that thing. Oh yeah, and that was hard because the first Lego Star Wars game was way more about combat than any of the other ones, and I'm glad they got away from that because it got irritating. I mean, you'd have to take out like 30 clone troopers or whatever, and you'd just be like, "Stop it!" It's like, I'm playing a game that's about puzzle solving. Stop it! I always liked the design of this like multi-legged thing with the huge mouth, the like big like crab thing.
Oh yeah.
She's on top of things.
That's clever.
There's a crude joke in there somewhere, I'm sure. I always felt like this. Do you not feel like you're watching a totally different movie when you get to this point?
Yeah, I do. I don't.
It's like, that looks like it hurts.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt. We need an announcer for this arena.
Well, what are you wanting John Madden in here?
They're playing a great monster. Just say nothing of substance.
I got you getting dragged right now. He's he's gonna eat a lot of sand, and it gets everywhere. I think we talked over that, did we not?
Yeah, I think we did.
Your favorite Anakin Skywalker line where we're like we haven't even made fun of the sand thing yet, because that was thing that you all like. I feel like you brought that up in Phantom Menace even.
Yeah, that's like the worst line of all time. I think we talked that happened a while ago. I think.
And it is everywhere.
It's rough and irritating. And it gets everywhere.
It'd be really funny. It'd be really cool if somebody if suddenly there was just a pod race in the middle of this, like around the pole.
That would be awesome. Anakin's just like, no, this is pod racing.
It's like, no, it's not.
It would just be funny to see.
But he said it is like catatonic teenager face. Yeah.
Just have him say joyful kid Anakin lines, just depressed as all heck.
Dan, Anakin is the only character I've ever seen to have love triangle face when he's not in a love triangle. That's
hilarious, but totally true.
but totally true. We should talk like that for the rest of the podcast.
It's like, totally true.
She just jumped off a thing and then
they just kissed. How cute.
I can never decide how endearing that character is supposed to be.
Newt.
I feel like Newt Gingrich there.
Newt Gunray is not happy.
Newt Gingrich
He sent
there.
in the droidicas, of course, because they're no match for droidicas.
That's his answer to everything. I think he's got a couple of those in his back pocket, man. He keeps them in the trunk of his car. But man, Newt Gingrich, what he does is he gets like really, really depressed when things don't go his way, and he's like, the world just isn't how I want it to be anymore.
This is the most Samuel L. Jackson thing in the whole movie.
Just this party's over.
This party's over. Like, that's pretty Sam Jackson.
That's true. Why can't he talk like that more often? Okay, so I know other people have made this point before, but it's still hard to look at this and not mention it. You got the guy, and I'm sure you know the names of all these people that don't have any characters, and there's no reason you should know their names. But there's well, EU. I get it. Okay, there's these, but there's the guy that's got the like tentacle hair.
Kit Fisto. Yeah, he's awesome.
Kit Mephisto. Okay, so you got Kit Mephisto, and he's gonna fight with a lightsaber. That's impractical. How does he not cut all of his head off?
I don't know.
How does he keep that from happening? And they're just like swinging around, and obviously he's just an actor standing there with a prop and isn't really paying any attention to like where the actual light of the lightsaber would be. So he's just flipping around, gets dangerously close to them.
That is very true. No.
Oh man, it's just amazing that C-3PO ever gets his body back.
It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
I feel like that was sarcasm. I think you were maybe being facetious, but I don't know. Did they make a Padme figure that had the gash in the back? Like I feel like they did the cutoff thing, but I think they did like a big gash in the back Padme figure.
They did. It didn't come with her overcloak thing that she had.
Oh, okay. I do think that outfit's cool.
I do too. When they used to have girl Halloween costumes of that back in the day, I always thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool. Yeah, I like that.
And
because Padme is like a great role model for little girls. Like date girls that are or date men that are obviously going to be genocidal maniacs.
Just find the one that's most like Hitler and date him.
And date him. And make sure that whatever your loyalties are, that you ignore them completely for love. Although that whole stupid like I'm a senator, I can't date thing. I don't understand that. I'm a senator.
I think she was saying like Jedi aren't allowed to date people, and like if he dated someone that high profile, it would get out. I don't know.
On his end, but they played it like she couldn't either.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's blasphemous for a senator to date a Jedi. I don't know. Yeah, they don't really explain why. See, Jango,
I mean, isn't the point
the worst luck?
I thought the point of being a senator was to get into sex scandals. Like I thought.
Not in the Galactic Republic, hopefully.
Oh, okay.
The U.S. Republic, yeah.
I love the behind the scenes interview when Sam Jackson is trying to sell this movie, and he's just like, yeah, there's a lot of action in this movie. People are getting jacked in this movie.
I wish Mace Windu talked about that.
I wish Mace Windu talked like that. He's like, he comes in with his purple lightsaber. He's like, y'all getting jacked.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Search your feelings. These guys are getting jacked.
Did you see Kit Fisto's grin there? Pretty awesome. Oh, CGI Padme just fell over.
Oh man. I don't know. I couldn't tell the difference really. Not because it looked good, but just because she could be CG and it wouldn't make much of a difference. In fact, this whole movie could be in CG. I mean, we don't really need human actors to give performances in this, do we?
I knew they made Clone Wars for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Clone Wars movie came out in the theater, and all the critics panned it, and I'm like, I don't understand how that's worse than this.
Yeah, I mean, didn't they pan this too?
Yeah, but I think it was panned more.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably true. I heard a general.
It was more panned, Dan.
Yeah, I think even prequel fans didn't really take to that one as much.
Like, I think a lot of, I think a lot of critics did dog on this, but with like the Clone Wars movie, Dan, that was pandemonium.
Fandemonium. Ah,
That's hard. It's hard to make that pun work, Dan. He's having difficulty keeping his head on straight. Man, those robots just don't even look like they fit in Star Wars.
Yeah.
They just don't even look like a Star Wars thing. Did they make figures of those?
Yes.
They had to have. There's like 12 on screen at once.
Super battle droids, droidicas, and regular battle droids.
No, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about those big guys with the weird chest things that's just standing right there next to. Like, what are
Yeah,
those
the super
things?
battle droids. Yeah, I said them.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yes.
That's the super battle droid. Oh,
They are super.
so that's different than the droidicas, or did the same thing?
Droidicas are the roly guys.
Well, that's what I thought, but I thought you said those, so I thought maybe those guys were supposed to be droidicas, but they stand upright. Oh, okay. I get it now.
The guys with the wrist blasters, those are the super battle
Yeah.
droids.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing. They look silly.
They do.
I always thought the droidicas were really cool looking and didn't understand why in the world they weren't more powerful than they are.
I know.
Like, those should be a lot harder to take out. They look like they'd be pretty like just why can't we make droids more durable, Dan?
In Star Wars Battlefront, they were pretty powerful. I remember being clone troopers and being like, "Oh crap, there's a droidica here."
So are you gonna play Battlefront? Like the new one?
Battlefront looks awesome. I can't wait for that game.
I think so too. I'm really excited about it.
Did you see the launch trailer that they just put out with the Emperor in it? It's really cool.
No, I didn't.
I did. The Emperor in it, and Leia and Boba Fett are in it. It's real.
Oh man, I did hear that there was going to be a lot of DLC, and I'm a little bit nervous about that. But
yeah, I heard about that too.
I heard it had like a $50 season pass or something, and I was like, I hope there's a lot on that game because I hope there's a lot on that disc because I don't really care about DLC for that game. I just want to play what's on it.
I mean, if I like the game enough, I'll probably buy the DLC, but we'll see.
My time is so limited that when I buy a game, I tend to play it for like a week, and then it's a long time before I ever get back to it again. So, like, I haven't bought much DLC for Arkham Knight because I just don't have much time to play it. Oh my god, there are places where Yoda sounds a little bit more like Cookie Monster.
I always thought those clone dropships were cool.
Yeah.
And the clone trooper helmet design is cool because it's like a combination between Mandalorian and Stormtrooper armor. I always thought it looked kind of cool. And I like the color codedness of the different regiments and stuff. Like, I don't know. Clone Trooper armor I thought was always kind of cool looking.
I don't feel like I'm just nitpicking every little thing. I don't feel like Obi-Wan Kenobi is the kind of person that utters the phrase "good call." It seems a little too
Mace Windu
contemporary. Right? Good call. No, Mace Windu would say these guys are getting jacked. No, I could buy him say Mace Windu is the guy that comes that seems like he came from the future to a long, long time ago and just doesn't know it. He's the guy that's like writing on one of these drop ships and he's like burn rubber and everybody's like what does that mean burn rubber I don't understand that and we're flying. He's like, well, we're going. We don't need roads. I think Mace Windu's lightsaber is longer than everyone else's, too.
I think Samuel Jackson should have just played his Pulp Fiction character in these movies. That would
I
have
think
been
no matter
best.
what they like, I think he listened too much to George Lucas. I feel like whatever they gave him to say, he should have just ad libbed other things or just said his lines like he had an
He just
attitude
should
and
have
was
said,
really really pissed off. Like basically, he should have just given Anakin's performance.
they should have just made these movies about Mace Windu. Problem solved.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And these droid rocket things, I remember them being a pain in Battlefront because they were pretty powerful.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they have to like loop de loop and stuff before they hit things.
Me either. That's really
They're like,
strange.
because it looks cool, Dan.
Newt's getting nervous.
Well, buddy, that's where starships go. He's like, we must get the starships back into space. And I'm like, there you go. That's where they go.
What does
There you
Newt
go. They go in space.
Gunray need with Starship?
What? But you haven't answered my question. What does Newt Gunray need with a starship?
I want to know if there's Newt Gunray expanded universe novels because he shows up. He shows up in every movie, and he just plays a incompetent villainous role. Like he's always subordinate. The Death Star plans. He's always
Oh
subordinate
man,
to the other villains, and he just gets killed on Mustafar along with the other Nemoidians. Like, what's up with that?
I'm just imagining some like huge Star Wars fans sitting in the audience, and one of them like wakes up his friend at that moment. Is like, dude, it's Death Star. And then like he wakes up and he's like, what? And then he misses it and then he goes back to sleep.
We got Death Star. We got Death Star. Have you ever seen the Star Wars gangster rap?
Yes.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Boy, that's like a decade old now.
It is.
Wow. I'm not saying it's not cool because it's old. I'm saying I can't believe how old it is.
I know, right? Count Dooku's speeder bike is cool looking.
You almost said motorcycle, which
I
is
almost
hilarious.
did.
Burn rubber.
We saw the we saw a glimpse of Ayla Secura's backside there. She is a Twi'lek Jedi who gets killed on what planet does she get killed on? Felucia. That's the planet she gets killed on in Revenge of the Sith. She wields two lightsabers most of the time. In this movie, she only has one for some reason. She's got a blue one and a green one.
Why do you know that?
Because in Star Wars Battlefront, when you play on Felucia, you play as her, and you see her get killed in Revenge of the Sith on Felucia.
Sounds like an energy drink,
Yeah, it kind of does.
or like a like a juice drink, like Fanta,
Yeah, like Monster Felucia.
Monster Felucia,
No,
Geek Felucia.
Geekvolution. There you go. The planet where geek things happen.
No, it's gonna be the Geek Felution drink, Geek Felucia. What does it mean? It doesn't matter. It tastes really good. Drink it. We got strawberry, pineapple, and peach.
And peach.
Ban me! Ah!
Put the ship down.
Too late. There's no telling Anakin not to have his personal feelings get in the way.
That's kind of all he does is let his personal feeling. That's like his shtick.
Or you could just not put the ship down. No, she'd do exactly the same thing because she is also kind of emotionally driven. I think.
I can't disagree with you there.
I'm just saying. Hey, are you sure that Anakin Skywalker's real name is not Al Simmons?
You
Because
know,
I think it might. I think it might be.
it's like we watch the credits. It's the last thing before all the Dolby logos and stuff. It's like special thanks to Todd McFarlane.
and Al Simmons as Anakin Skywalker. What you don't know is that he's acting like this because he's already been to hell.
Oh,
Booms!
clones.
Kabam! Kablamo!
Anakin's using a green lightsaber like Luke does in Return of the Jedi. It's pretty cool.
Uh-huh. Why doesn't he have... Okay. What? Why doesn't he just have his own lightsaber that he always uses? No, did he lose one? He lost one, didn't he?
Yeah, in the droid factory, it got crushed, and one of the Jedi threw him and Obi-Wan
That's right.
in the
That's
arena.
Right.
See,
I cannot believe... Sorry, go ahead.
If I was a Sith Lord, I would either have a double-bladed lightsaber or a curved one, because both of them are cool. They're really awesome. Well, look at this.
You could have a
cool
double.
Stuff.
You could have a double curved one, but I think you'd cut your own arm off.
Ayla Secura has a double-bladed curved one. She can disconnect it too.
Oh, that's actually a thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh no, it's not. Yeah, Azaj Ventress has that. This lady from Clone Wars. What did I say?
I don't remember.
I might have said Ayla Secura, the Twilight.
That's what you said. Yeah, that's what you said.
Excuse me. They sound similar. Azaj Ventress, Ayla Secura.
So he uses a green lightsaber and he gets his hand cut off of the same. Of course.
He does.
Oh my god, this movie. I mean, that's just such obvious prequel fodder stuff, yeah?
It is, yeah. Padme's dressed like Princess Leia, if you didn't notice, too.
I did notice that, Dan. I picked up on that, Dan.
Christopher Lee's face there was awesome. Did you see that?
He's just like, well, you can't see me doing that because
CGI left to save the day.
Thanks a lot, computers.
Anakin just called himself a slow learner. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty great. That's his prevailing character trait, Dan. He's a slow learner. Why did you cut that?
For dramatic effect.
So sparks would fly? It was just sitting on the ground. All you had to do is walk over it. But now there's sparks flying. You did that because you wanted there to be like sparks flying.
And it's more dark now.
In
a few shots there, it just kind of looks like Dooku was waving his lightsaber around and not doing anything. Like when they were up close.
Like, he just cuts his arm off because that's the thing that's in the other movie that has, it's the second one. Like, doesn't mean anything. It's not really about anything.
See, I think
now Yoda's going to jump around a lot.
I think it would have been cool if we had Obi-Wan and Dooku kind of talk about Qui-Gon, because Qui-Gon was Dooku's apprentice. Should have been a thing.
Are you actually asking for meaningful conversations in this movie?
Yeah.
Like at this point that would be really out of place, Dan. It's like 2 hours and 8 minutes in, all of a sudden it's like, I haven't seen you since back when Qui-Gon Jinn used to be clean shaven.
Qui-Gon was quite the maverick.
Oh, I know what I was going to say earlier. I can't remember exactly what the line was. I can't believe they had Dooku utter a line so close to, I see your Schwartz is as big as mine. This long after Spaceballs, he had a line that was almost exactly like that. Oh, so we're not gonna take a test then. We're not gonna pull out the scantrons. Not gonna be any multiple choice test here. This was a big deal to people in the theater. It was like finally we get to see Yoda jump around with a lightsaber, but like I don't know. It's like the more I thought about it later, the more it's just that's so impractical. And the whole point of Yoda was that he wouldn't need one.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that like I didn't think it was cool when I first saw this movie.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. I mean, it was kind of fun to get to see that, but Yoda's just not anything like the wise sage he's supposed to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, he should have been able to kind of wreck house with Dooku force-wise earlier.
Well, I mean, like he just seems so emotional because it's so weird because like everybody's impulsive and emotional in this, but then nobody feels like they have any passion about everything. I don't know about anything. I don't know how those things go together, Dan. But you'd think that he'd walk in and he'd just kind of stand there, and the Dooku would get all angry and uses emotional angry dark side powers, and Yoda would just kind of stand there, close his eyes, and nothing would work on him.
Yeah,
That's how I would do a Yoda fight, and I think it would be just as exciting to watch.
yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
but the movie would have to have already been about things, and I'd have to like people before 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I think
speaking in droid language, great subtitle.
Dan's talking about the subtitles again.
Those Geonosian parachute ships are kind of cool.
I guess, but it's weird because there's a ship just like that in Star Trek Insurrection.
Really?
I was just thinking about that. I was like, oh my god, it's just like that stupid collector ship in Insurrection.
What does Count Dooku need with a Trek ship?
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing with that. I just hope nobody says time's up. It's not exactly the same kind of thing, but it's. I think they're both brown.
Oh,
Yeah, once we get up close to it, it looks really different. Yeah, the parachute idea is kind of neat. I don't know how the physics work on that
you know me either.
because it sort of looks like it'd be propelled by wind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like it deflates as it gets, or not deflates, but the parachute drops. It's like, what is powering? What is the point of that? Is it
Maybe it's
just for
supposed to be a
dramatic effect?
hyperspace thing, kind of like the Jedi ring. I don't know.
Oh, hey, look, like a scary place, Dan.
A scary place.
Uh,
I actually really do like the Sith theme that they have in.
Oh, I do too.
It's pretty cool.
I listen to the Phantom Menace soundtrack just constantly.
I can't wait to listen to the John Williams one for Force Awakens. I bet it's going to be masterful.
If they put that out before the movie, I don't think I'm going to let myself listen to it before I go see it.
Me either. Especially since the track names will probably reveal stuff.
Yeah, and I've known people that have done that, but it's like I don't know. I don't know if I want to hear the music cues before I see like the dramatic moments.
Oh
Like,
yeah, exactly.
I think it's crazy those sometimes come out before movies come out. Although I also think it's crazy that sometimes you'll have a video game about a movie that'll come out like a week before it, and you're like, oh, I know about the whole movie. Or even if it comes out the day of, somebody will play the whole game, and you're like, oh my god. Wow, 2 movies in, finally, right at the end of one, they're like, you know what? I think something's going on in the Senate.
the war.
These guys,
The war.
you know
Star
why?
Wars just started at the end of the second prequel movie.
You know why Anakin is a slow learner, right? Because all these other people are still on the uptake too, and they taught him.
Oh.
Begun the Clone War has.
This is a cool shot. All this stuff is kind of cool.
Yeah. It is kind of interesting, that you've got like the Darth Vader theme here, and this is the army for what's supposed to be the good guys, but we don't know we don't, or these guys. I mean, they should realize something about what's going on, but they're working for the wrong person.
They are. They all got chips in their heads.
They just created what will become the Empire. Oops. Shouldn't have done that.
The Jedi have created the instrument of their own destruction. Now they're going to get married. And he's going to hold her hand with a creepy robot arm as they get married.
God, spoilers! Just explain to me why these people are getting married.
Because...
How is she not so freaked out and repelled by him? And I don't just mean because he has a robot arm. I'm mostly referring to the fact that he killed a bunch of people.
You know, maybe she's just attracted to terrible people. I mean, that's...
Well, we could make that a character thing. We could do a thing with that, but we're not doing
We
a
shouldn't
thing.
put down people that are attracted to terrible people.
I'm sorry, Dan. Da-da, 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 da-da.
All right. Well,
whew, we made it through it, Dan.
just barely.
Oh man, I tried to talk about as much things of substance as humanly possible, but I think there was potentially some derailing.
There was a lot of derailing, but we had a good time.
Watch out while you're derailing, though, because there might be things like smashing down on you from the ceiling, and you gotta learn the timing of it, Dan, so that you don't get all crushed. And
E1.
Yay, Natalie Portman.
I'm kind of surprised Hayden Christensen doesn't get top billing.
Yeah. I feel like he's supposed to be the what do you call it? The protagonist. Like I realize it's sort of an ensemble cast thing, like the original Star Wars was, but that's a really good question. I don't know that Mark Hamill got top billing because he would have been a nobody who cares actor when that first came out.
They all were though when the first one came out.
Yeah, but I want to say that Harrison Ford had at least done something.
Yeah, I think he had done like one other thing before that, but I'm not sure.
I mean, it might be that what's his face who played Obi-Wan Kenobi got top billing.
Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness. Well, Dan, are you stoked to do the last one?
I think Revenge of the Sith will at least be a little bit more fun, just because there's more action and less people standing around going, hey, this information that you just learned in dialogue, I'm gonna repeat it to other people that weren't in that scene. Like, there's a lot.
But dude, if they all had that voice, so basically what you're saying is that would have been a more entertaining movie if all of the Jedi that are just standing around talking about politics sounded like the announcer from Clone Wars.
Previously on Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Master Obi-Wan
as flying a ship into space.
And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with talking about politics. I study politics. I live, breathe, and eat politics. I like politics a lot. But the politics in this movie, they're not interesting at all.
There's nothing to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, everybody just seems really stupid and one note and not a real person, and they're talking about it like a super complex and like there's a lot of intrigue and stuff, and it's not intrigue.
It's not really intrigue. It's just kind of Palpatine being evil and no one noticing.
Yeah, I would struggle to write a synopsis of these movies that was more than 3 sentences long.
The synopsis is good.
No, well, that might be a synopsis, but not a review.
Yes, or it is unavoidable. It is your destiny. Just Emperor quotes. You could use it.
I think the synopsis is just begun the Clone Wars has, but not until the end. Like that's the synopsis.
Yeah, it could be like
Actually, the whole synopsis should be in Yoda speak. It's like married. These two people are, and then
married these people.
Yeah.
You, like your father, are now mine. I don't know. I've always preferred Emperor speak. It's so much more fun to do.
Yeah, I know. But you took that, so I was letting you have it. I was going for, I'm not actually doing a Yoda.
The only reason I say it is because a lot of people like doing the Yoda speak thing, but I don't know. I always found the Emperor's voice.
Hey, the Emperor thing's gotten really popular lately, though. I hear that all the time.
The Emperor's voice?
Oh yeah. Well, Red Letter Media started doing it, and I think a lot of people started doing it after Red Letter Media did it.
I love the Emperor.
Dan, you're not supposed to love the Emperor, dude. That disturbs me. There's a disturbance in the Force.
Whenever I play a Star Wars RPG, I always play as an Emperor type character, as Sith sorcerer shooting lightning out of my hands. It's a great time.
That's great, Dan. I've never done that.
I'm in the middle of a game with my friends right now. The tabletop variety, because they don't make Star Wars RPGs and video games anymore. And
I'm sure that'll change.
Yes, I hope so. And I'm playing as a Sith sorcerer, shooting lightning out of my hands, force choking people. It's a great time.
Wow, you're doing it right now. You have incredible multitasking ability. You must be really Force aware.
I am.
You're doing it right now.
I am moving my piece around.
Yeah, with your mind.
The Force.
And and like it's in a different house somewhere that's like not even close to your house, but you're able to like peer in there and see it because you have the Force, and that's
out of the dark side.
Wow, it's cool.
Filmed at Fox Studios Australia.
On one stage.
Additional camera lenses by Fuji.
Thanks a lot, Fuji. Thanks, Mount Fuji, for your lens contribution. 2002. Dan, I was working at a movie theater when this came out.
What was the reaction on the faces of the people that as they walked out of this movie? How did they look? Did they look happy?
I mean, some people did. I think there was just kind of a lot of disappointment, and people just didn't want to talk about it. I mean, that's what I remember, where it was just kind of, after people saw this, it was kind of clinched it after Phantom Menace, where it was like, yeah, okay, I guess this is what they're going to be like. I mean, I think people kind of enjoyed the action. I think it was still like Phantom Menace, though, where people had a tendency to like try to convince themselves they had a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, this is not against anybody that actually likes these. I'm just saying I saw a lot of that, and that was my experience with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to have a good time with these movies, more power to you. Just personally, I think I speak for both of us when I say this. We can't really,
But we did it, Dan.
We did. We had fun. At the expense of the movie, not with the movie.
Yeah.
But it was a fun time.
Well, everybody, thanks as always for listening to our commentary podcast, and Dan and I will come back to you ASAP with the Revenge of the Sith. And Dan, we should start talking about other commentaries we want to do after that, because I want to get back.
We should.
Back to more commentaries. So we'll do that.
Are we going to do the Clone Wars movie?
We could. I can. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. There's a lot of point to doing that, but we could.
All right.
I mean, you'd have a lot more to say about that than I would.
Yeah, and I don't really have a lot to say about that in general, so maybe we won't. We'll see.
But I don't know. Could happen. Well, anyway, we'll be like Star Wars, where once the major stuff's done, we'll just keep milking it for all it's worth. Anyway, everybody, thanks again for listening. We sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan,
and I was Dan.
See you later, folks.